10 freeway. We're going to be basically at the end of the freeway here in Santa Monica within about 7 minutes. Yeah, that appears to be what happened, Carolyn. Now, where the vehicle was taken from and under what circumstances, that's unknown. But what we do know is that this was a stolen vehicle, and apparently the person inside also wanted kidnapping. So the only two things that would appear to make the most sense is that the person stole the car, in all likelihood not even knowing that people were in there. But again, from what we're hearing, it is 2 children inside. We don't know their ages, we don't know their genders. But again, this person taking the car somewhere near the East LA area. That is where this started with the Sheriff's Department. And once it got onto the westbound 10 freeway, and it was only on the 10 freeway, that is when the CHP took over. So now we are on a PCH. As I mentioned, the 10 freeway was going to come to an end. So now we're here in Santa Monica on PCH, continuing northbound. California Highway Patrol in pursuit, but they're going to be limited on what they can do when it comes to pursuit intervention tactics because the 2 young victims are inside. I already heard them say on the scanner that they're not going to try a pit maneuver on this one, understandably so. But one thing that they were going to try was deploy some spike strips in that tunnel that we just were in. Now, I haven't heard them say whether or not it was a successful spike, and I'm not really seeing him slowing down much to tell us that perhaps he's got a flat, but we'll continue to watch the vehicle, see if we do start seeing signs of him having a flat. But for now, the pursuit continues here northbound on PCH. Thankfully not. It looked like he was but pretty much open roadway on the westbound 10 freeway once he crossed over the 405, and he was at freeway speeds. So here on PCH, you see him traveling at about 40 miles or so, relatively slow, all things considered, and thankfully so with those 2 victims inside. Looking a little bit closer at the vehicle, I'm still watching the glass tires. I'm really hoping that he ran over that spike strip when he went in that tunnel, but again, at this point, I haven't heard that he did, and is continuing northbound on PCH. Again, very tension, so we can't really see much inside, but I can at least show you some of the cruisers here that are trailing this vehicle. I'm counting 4 immediately behind him. There's probably 1 further back, holding back some of the traffic, and of course we've also got the police helicopter overhead. It really would be a perfect spot.
Perhaps another opportunity for a spike strip.
It really would be a perfect spot to do it, Carolyn, since it's basically just a 3-lane road here, so they could actually lay spike strips across the entire road, and he's got a good chance of hitting them. So unless he were to see them and swerve into the opposite lanes of traffic here, if they do deploy one up ahead, there's a very good chance that he's going to run a spike strip over, and hopefully that will be the end to this without anybody getting hurt. But I was just zooming in there, too, as you were asking your question. I thought I could see a front passenger, and if you look there, you can see wearing a colorful t-shirt. I see his hand resting there on the side of the door. Unknown if that is another suspect, if there were 2 suspects and they're in the front and the kids are in the back, or if this is an older child, 13 years or so, who would be able to sit in that front seat, and the other child is in the back. That at this point is unknown. All we know is that this vehicle was taken somewhere from the East LA area not long ago, about 15 minutes or so. It was when we first heard about the pursuit, but it had been going on for about 10 minutes prior to that. But again, from East LA all the way here to the area of PCH and Temescal Canyon, possibly setting up to make that turn onto Temescal, or no, continuing straight here at PCH.
Yeah, and it did appear the driver had moved in to the far right lane. Now they're scooting back over, and still, Eliana, for the most part, continuing about the speed of traffic here, obeying the signals in the area as well.
From what we've been able to watch him here on PCH, he's pretty much going with the flow of traffic. I think he might have light back there, but it looks like for the most part he's driving relatively calm, thankfully. And you saw that Tesla there. He moved off to the side because this is what he saw. These CHP cruisers trailing this guy. Although it's not an extremely high-speed chase, that's exactly what you want to do. Whenever a pursuit passes by you like this, you want to just like that Tesla did, get out of the way, let the pursuit go by, and then rejoin traffic when it is safe to do so. Sometimes people try to get involved and try to be a hero. You do not want to do because you don't know if this person is potentially armed and could harm you or harm somebody else, or one of the officers could get hurt in the process. So whenever a pursuit passes you here in the LA area, you're likely to encounter one when you're in our area. Unfortunately, that's something you're definitely going to want to do, is just let the pursuit go by and rejoin traffic when it's safe to do so.
And certainly this vehicle knows there are multiple CHP cruisers in pursuit. We can see the flashing lights behind, and they're choosing to ignore that. Sometimes when people take a car that has children inside, as you mentioned, perhaps unknowingly, once they make that discovery, they'll often go over and ditch the vehicle. But that's certainly not the case here.
And I'm really surprised that they didn't do that right off the bat, but I think that the sheriff's department was so to get behind them that they really didn't have the time. And at this point, if they abandon it and try to take off running, they're likely to get caught. We have covered a few cases just like that, where unfortunately very similar circumstances. A parent leaves their child in the car just to make a quick trip into a convenience store, get gas, and somebody jumps into the car thinking nobody's in there, but there's a child inside, and they don't want to get in trouble for kidnapping and stealing the car, of course, so they ditch it as quick as possible. Usually the child is not hurt in any way. In this case, of course, we are now a long ways away from where we began, all the way in East Los Angeles, and now we're at PCH and Puerto Marina here in the Palisades, continuing to make our way northbound on Pacific Coast Highway. So we'll see how we go, or if he decides to turn around and head back south and potentially try to get back on the freeway. But for now, we continue northbound on Pacific Coast Highway here, approaching the...
And traffic quite light right now, Eliana.
Quite light through the area. It's actually something we noticed. We were up on a holiday traffic flight earlier for about an hour and a half or so. And yes, there were pockets of areas where our freeways were slow, as is typical on a day. And of course, you do have that getaway traffic today. So there were some pockets of slowing here and there. But overall, I was really surprised that a lot of our areas are actually a lot lighter than usual. So here is an example of that. Here on PCH, normally a very busy area for us, is pretty much wide open for this guy as he continues on PCH.
Yeah, certainly southbound traffic a bit heavier. Oh, and now moving here into the center area, Eliana, is he coming up on some traffic ahead?
Yeah, there was actually a truck that was pulled over to the right, and he was kind of taking up part of that right lane. So he kind of swerved to avoid hitting it. And that was actually one of the most erratic moves we've seen him do yet. So hopefully we don't see any more of that, considering that there are two children in this car. Now, ages and genders are unknown, and under what circumstances this vehicle was taken, that is also unknown. But you can think about how this would happen to you if you were simply pulling over, you've got your child or you've got your pet inside of the car, you're simply getting gas, and then somebody just hops in the vehicle when you're not looking, and they don't realize they've got this precious cargo on board. So usually they try to just ditch the vehicle as quickly as possible, but in this case, we again are a very long ways from where this began.
Yeah, Climate Desk is working, trying to find out more information on just what happened in East LA, where this car was taken. Hopefully finding out some more information about the occupants on board here. Eliana, as you mentioned, they're very darkly tinted windows here, so it's difficult to see inside. Are you seeing any other movement aside from what I thought you discerned there in the front passenger seat?
Yeah, that front window is really our only eyes into the car, and I couldn't really see the driver much from this angle, but I could see that there is, in fact, a passenger in the front. Appears to be another man, but could also be just an older teen that can sit in the front seat, and that's potentially one of our victims. So when this does come to a stop, of course, the CH is going to be very careful about how they approach the car. They're going to be careful about their call-outs, and don't be surprised if one of the children is a teenager. That person could potentially be initially detained as they figure out whether or not the person is a suspect or one of the victims. So it really will be a very careful situation when all things are said and done here at the termination of this pursuit.
And Eliana, are we still seeing those 4 different CHP vehicles behind this car?
Yeah, let me widen out so I can try to count them again. So we've got those 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
so 6, and I think there's one beyond that holding back traffic a little bit. So 6 units now, and normally we talk about intervention tactics. What can they do in these types of situations? We always talk about spike strips, especially with a vehicle of this size. With a car this size, a spike strip, or a pit maneuver rather, a pit maneuver with a vehicle this size would be perfect because it's just the right size, going in the right speeds, but because of those 2 victims inside, they're not going to try it. I just heard them say that on the scanner, that is out of the question in this situation. But one thing that they are willing to try, and they have tried already, is to deploy spike strips in front of the vehicle in hopes that the vehicle will run those over and the tires will slowly start to deflate, and hopefully that will bring things to a peaceful end. We know that there was one there, was the tunnel there by the California Incline and the end of the 10 freeway, but it doesn't appear as if the vehicle ran them over.
Yeah, because that would have been, what, about 10 miles ago, Eliana, and we'd expect perhaps to see some slowing or some impact on those tires if, in fact, that driver had hit that spike strip back there through the tunnel.
Yeah, correct. That was a good minutes ago or so. It was right when we got overhead, actually. And yeah, we didn't notice any change in the way that the vehicle drove. We didn't really notice any change, visual change to the tires themselves. And now he's really picking up speed here. We're now freeway speeds here on PCH. So 60 miles an hour, so fastest we've seen him go. So it does not appear as if those tires are starting to give way in any way right now.
Yeah, and Eliana, you've touched on this repeatedly, but the real danger or what officers are concerned about are those 2 children in this vehicle, and it really does limit them. You know, at earlier speeds, it would have been a perfect opportunity to provide a pit maneuver. Obviously not now, but with those kids in there, that's really out of the question.
Yeah, they just simply can't do it with those 2 victims inside, and we don't know their ages. We don't know if they are young enough to still make sure that they come out of this unscathed. So they're not going to do anything to that vehicle that would potentially cause the driver to lose control and endanger the lives of those 2 children on board. But again, if you're just joining us, started off as a stolen, but also a kidnapping, which usually when we put those 2 things together, it means that the vehicle was stolen with the children inside. But we're working to get a little more information on exactly what transpired, but we do know it was somewhere near East Los Angeles with the LA County Sheriff's Department. They then transferred the pursuit over to the California Highway Patrol.
And we do a lot of vehicles on Coast Highway here, certainly pulling over to the right, yielding to that massive officer presence behind this gray vehicle is not slowing down at this time.
NOCN,
Eliana's having a bit of an issue with our connection right now as we continue to follow this pursuit through the Malibu area. And you can see, oh, hi, Eliana. We can see that CHP officer there has closed the gap a bit, moving in a bit tighter here.
Yeah, they're moving in a little bit tighter, and I'm going to also go tighter myself. I want to look a little bit in the front seat. So my pilot, James Pollard, was hearing from the helicopter that they believe that the person that we see there in the front passenger seat is one of the child victims. So
unfortunately, we've lost the signal here for a moment. We often do have this issue in that Malibu area, the car heading northbound PCH right now. But we've just gotten some new information from our assignment desk, which was at the LA Sheriff's Department, received a call at 6:38 tonight around the area of Arizona and Olympic, and that's where the sheriff's deputies were told that a kidnapping had just occurred. At this point, we're still not clear on what the ages of those children are. Of course, this is something we're going to continue to follow for you throughout the evening on air at 11, and of course, we'll have the very updates for you online as well on our app, NBCLA and NBCLA.com. Do we have Eliana back yet? Yeah. All right. Well, I just see the signal now of one of our other monitors, and we can see that this pursuit continues with no letting up here. Eliana, where are you now?
Carolyn, we're now in Malibu, but still on PCH. So whoever is behind the wheel doesn't really venture off of whatever road he picks. So he was on the westbound 10 freeway initially, and then that ended, became PCH. And so now we're on PCH, and he has not turned at that point. So still PCH coming up to Sweetwater Canyon. And again, I believe our signal dropped out just as I was sharing information about that front passenger who we have learned is one of the victims. So some sort of older child, likely a young teen, who is old enough to sit in that front seat, and the other victim in the back, unknown age and gender, but at least the victim in the front does appear to be a boy sitting in that front seat next to the person who stole this car from one of his parents in all likelihood, or one of his guardians. And the CHP, though, as you mentioned, not giving them too much in the way of room now, really getting closer to that bumper here as we approach the area of the Malibu Pier here on Pacific Coast Highway.
Eliana, we want to stay with your shot, but we want to bring in Sergeant Keene. He's with the CHP Southern Division. Sergeant, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
What can you tell us about what's going on here with this? Do you have additional information you can share?
Everything you guys have been saying has been correct. We did take this over from the Sheriff's Department, and we are going to continue to pursue it with all available means and hope for the driver to pull over.
Are we on air with Kavea, or just?
And at this point, what are you hearing about the two children who were kidnapped?
At this time, we're still getting additional information since the sheriffs are going to be handling that. We are assisting them, as we do and always will, with anything that comes out in their jurisdiction or our jurisdiction, as they would do for us.
And we've been talking about some of the more limited options you limit now because there are children in this vehicle believed to be kidnapped. Eliana has mentioned a spike strip that one was possibly deployed through the tunnel 10-15 minutes ago. Doesn't look like the driver ran over those spikes. Is there talk about perhaps deploying another one?
Absolutely. We're always looking for things to end a pursuit in this situation with children in the car that is going to affect some of the ways that we may do, as in a pit maneuver.
Right.
But a strip is always an option. We're going to be trying to get our team into position and make sure that we do it safely and get difficult to stop.
Yeah, and of course, that's what you want in a situation like this. We've noticed that there are a number of vehicles in pursuit, just the one CHP SUV that we can see close behind, but at one point we counted at least 6.
So at different times in pursuit, if we're transitioning between our areas, since we are statewide, we go through different areas and our units will switch out. Get a new driver in, someone who's fresh to the eyes, maybe a full tank of gas, ready to go into this pursuit and switch it out. Additionally, if there's other circumstances that we become aware of for safer use, we may increase our number of patrol vehicles from our standard.
And does this also involve trying to do some traffic stops, perhaps up ahead of where this driver is?
So there are different means of us to bring a pursuit to a stop, and if we do a roadblock, we also do anticipate the safety of everyone else on the road. So that might not be the best option because that would put other people at risk, and that's what we don't want to happen.
Yeah, and certainly it appears that traffic behind this driver might be controlled to some degree right now. Is that another strategy?
So we're definitely going to control what we can, and anything behind us, we're not going to let them pass. Fortunately, the speeds right now are in a reasonable limit. Still dangerous, though, to be doing this and taking off during, especially a holiday weekend. And we are going to stay in it. We're going to pursue, and we're going to use all of our arms to safely bring it to an end.
Yeah, and at times, the driver seems to be really respecting speed limits. Just now we're seeing it creep up again into the 60s along Coast Highway here, which, at times can be within the reasonable rate of traffic, but certainly not ideal. Can you shed any more light on the plan
speed.
going forward? Yeah.
Yeah, no speed is ideal in a pursuit. The ideal speed is 0.
Right.
No one runs. They just need to pull over. The driver is the one who's initiating all this. They just need to stop, and we can bring this to a safe outcome and get the kids home. That's what we want.
And what advice do you have for folks who might find themselves caught up in something like this? I know some people like to try to get involved and maybe try to, help bring this to an end, which is certainly, I would imagine, not an appropriate thing to be doing.
Yeah, definitely not the appropriate thing to be doing. We encourage everyone to be a defensive driver. If they see a police or pursuit coming their way, move out of the way. Don't get involved. Don't put yourself in a situation, and let law enforcement handle that.
At this point, any idea what the plan is here going forward?
The plan is going to be fluid depending on the situation. I know we listened to it earlier saying he was taking the 10 and he's been on the 1 for a while.
Yeah.
So that gives us a little bit of time to think. Our officers in that area know the area better than anyone else. They have designated spots that they're getting ready to set up spike strips, and that's all stuff we have pre-planned prior to anything happening. We identify safe locations for us and the public to do some intervention like that. And officers are to our West Valley area, getting up there, getting ready to transition, and possibly leaving LA County and turning it over to our coastal division, where our partners with the CERT from there will continue on with this. And ultimately, at some point, we're going to get the vehicle stopped.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, the guys will run out of gas, if nothing else.
Yeah, if a spike strip doesn't work, if they don't run out of gas, maybe the road dead ends, and we're in to lock them in, those are all options that we have that we're going to continue to think of. And it's, like I said, it's a fluid situation. Mm-hmm. But right now, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. We're going to have our units stay behind this and hope for a safe outcome, especially for the children.
Yeah, that's what complicates all of this, doesn't it?
It does. It is a factor, and it's a factor in every pursuit that we do. We always weigh everything that we know at that time to make our decisions in these pursuits.
All right, Sergeant Keene, stay with us for a moment, and we want to let viewers who are joining us now know that we are staying with this pursuit. It started around 6:30 tonight when a vehicle was stolen in the East LA. At least we believe it was a stolen vehicle. We do understand there are 2 children in this vehicle. It was on the 10 freeway for quite some time until that freeway ended on Pacific Coast Highway, and that's where this pursuit now continues. Sergeant Dan Keene with the CHP is with us here on the phone. And Sergeant, are you going to tell us how many CHP units are in pursuit at this point?
At this point, I don't know. We went through a little bit of a transition there. Standard, we always have 2 and a supervisor. We may add some additional units depending on the circumstances of it, and that is definitely fluid with the situation.
So on PCH here, we are, I guess we're getting closer to reaching Ventura County. Is that when a changeover happens with your purpose, or how does that work?
Yep, we have different area boundaries, and entering into Ventura County will go into a different area. And when that area is able to get into a position to take over the pursuit, we will turn it over to them.
Yeah, and I know Eliana Moreno has been following all of this for us from above. Is Eliana available for us to check in? Okay, Sergeant Keene, at this point...
It looks like to be trying to get a spike in position, so hopefully we are able to get that soon.
Well, you read my mind, because that was my next question, is if we were in an opportunity to perhaps deploy another one of these spike strips. Walk us through how challenging this can be for those officers up ahead, and they have to kind of unfurl it into the lanes and time it out quite well, don't they?
Yep, and in different situations, now that we're holding traffic, depending on their speeds, there might not be a lot of traffic in front of them. and that's to our benefit. We are able to get a spike strip in place.
We want to go back to Eliana Moreno right now. The vehicle just crashed. Eliana.
Yeah, he just crashed here at PCH and Kane and Doom, and I see that officers are in active pursuit of that suspect. As we come around this building, you will see those officers. They're trying to take this suspect into custody. I haven't even had a chance to see if it is a man or a woman, but you see the officers here all over here on PCH trying to take this person into custody. We could barely see the collision. We did have a tree in the way, but I could see that the vehicle immediately came to a stop, letting us know that it had collided, I believe, head on, but we'll be able to take a closer look here once we know that this guy is in custody. He may have gone to this apartment complex is what we're hearing. So this big building here is likely where that suspect is still running. You see the CHP officers climbing up this steep hill, trying to get to that individual. Again, we don't know if this person is armed, so these officers have to be very careful, and this is very steep. You see them there continuing to try to make their way to this building. I do see the yes. So he's running now on the other side of the building is what we're hearing, in an open field. So I do see those officers there in the parking lot. There's a big field to the right where we understand that suspect may still be running. So I'm going to push in. I do see those officers there. And I'm going to widen out, see if I can see him down in the field. But we understand he's somewhere in this area now trying to get the California Highway Patrol.
Of course, a big question we all have, Eliana, is what about the children in that vehicle? Have you seen any motion or movement from that vehicle?
Carolyn, I missed your question because we were trying to get a better information on where this suspect may be. And he may be somewhere near these trees, near a metal fence potentially. This is a big field.
I know it's challenging, the shot frozen there for a moment, challenging for Eliana to be in two places at one time, both monitoring that field where we believe the driver of the vehicle ran after the pursuit came to a sudden end with a crash. Of course, my question to Eliana had to do with the children inside that car. And Eliana, I know it's hard for you to have eyes on two places at once, but I was wondering if there's any word on those children.
I haven't heard them say anything about any children yet, Carolyn, but I am showing you the car here real quick. We're going to move back to the suspect here in just a second so we can see him being taken into custody here, hopefully. But that's the car that they were in. I see those CHP officers talking to the children now. Of course, a rescue ambulance will be on its way to tend to any injuries that they may have. But again, the search for the suspect continues, and he's likely somewhere in this tree-lined area in the middle of this field. But again, a terrible crash there at the termination of this pursuit. Those two children inside, but thankfully we hope that they're going to be okay. Again, rescue ambulance on its way to tend to them, but the search continues here for the driver amongst these trees.
And Eliana, orient us as to where we are. We know this is Pacific Coast Highway, still in the Malibu area, or where did this pursuit terminate?
Yeah, so it's in the area of Kane and Doom. So it was off of PCH where he crashed, and Kane and Doom is going to be our biggest major here through the area. And you see the CHP officers, they're continuing to try to find this guy. I am going to move back to the car, though. I don't want to miss the shot when they take these two kids out of the car, and hopefully we'll see that they are doing well. And we obviously care more about their well-being. So we are going to zoom in so that we can look at these children. I do see one right there, that little boy in the red shirt with the blue jeans. I believe he's going to be the younger of the two. Of course, we do have that other child who was in the passenger seat. I see that CHP officer trying to break the glass there. They're trying to get access to him. And zoom out just a little bit because, again, we don't know what's going on. So what we do know is that I see airbags deployed. I see airbags deployed on that. They're trying to break the window to get to that boy. We had seen him earlier. He did appear to be a slightly older boy, a young teenager in all likelihood. But I do see that other who was taken out in the red shirt. He's being held over there by a man in a black T-shirt. I don't know his relationship to that child, if any. He's just simply a good Samaritan who stopped to help. but I do see him laying him there on the ground. Of course, he's trying to be as gentle as possible to make sure that he's okay. And in the meantime, the CHP officers are continuing their efforts to get the other older boy out of the vehicle.
Yeah, trying to gain access to that vehicle right now. We can see what looks like one of the airbags has now been ripped out of the front side of the vehicle. And Eliana, on the right side of our screen, we see another car that was obviously involved in the crash at the end of this chase.
Yeah, there's actually two there, Carolyn. One barely got tapped there, that white car, but that silver car does look like it has pretty bad damage. I see the doors open on the passenger side, though, so hopefully the people that were inside were able to get out. I see a fire marshal there coming up to the car right now, along with a CHP officer, but I'm worried for that boy in the front seat at this point because you do see officers kind of running around a little bit frantic around the car. The fire department just showed up, and we saw them break that window, and I saw that the airbag was deployed. So hopefully it's just a situation where they can't get his door open, and he's going to be okay. But I think we'll just find out here in a few minutes what his condition is. But the other little boy laying there on the pavement now.
And certainly, Eliana, it's something that they're likely waiting for emergency responders. And are we seeing some fire vehicles, or it looks like right there perhaps an ambulance has just arrived on scene?
Yeah, as soon as the crash happened, Carolyn, they called for these rescue ambulances to come on scene. So I do see one fire truck. I see two ambulances. And if any more need, of course, the fire department will be out here in as quick as possible. We do see them getting a gurney out now for I can only assume for that first boy who's already out of the vehicle and on the ground, being tended to there by what appears to be a good Samaritan, because it's not somebody in a uniform, it's just somebody wearing regular clothes. And then, of course, he's actually carrying that little boy now, so we'll see if he walks him over to that gurney. And then we still have the officers here, along with the fire department, working on getting the other boy out of the car.
All right, Eliana, thank you so much for your coverage from overhead. We're going to continue to follow this for you this evening. Right now, we join Access in Progress.
Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. You in?
There is a 30-year